a 10-year study of people between the ages of 70 and 80. And all they measured was how easily they were able to get up off the floor and how many people died over that 10-year period. And it turned out that the more difficulty people had of getting up off the floor, the more of those people died. And they measured it based on whether you could get up no hands, one hand, you needed both hands to get up, you needed somebody to help you get up, and you couldn't get up at all. And then they measured how many of those different groups actually did not make it through the 10 years. So what they come to realize is that the more difficult it is for you to get off the floor, the more likely it is that you're going to die soon. And that's why this is a really important skill to understand and develop. So now I'd like you to step off the mats for this next experiment. And just find a comfortable stance, letting your arms be down by your sides, so out of your pockets, and close your eyes. And just stand there with your eyes closed for a few moments, and just notice what's happening when you have your eyes closed. Just keep them closed, keep breathing, and begin to notice that something starts to occur from the ankles up. What do you notice? You can open your eyes to speak. Anyone notice anything?
I'm swaying.
You're swaying. Did anybody else feel the swaying starting to happen? Okay, so standing on 2 feet is one of the most unstable things that can happen. I mean, really, if you think about nature, the most stable position in the world is to be like this. And yet somehow humans developed this ability to be able to just balance themselves on these 2 little points that are very far away for some of us. And yet the swaying that we feel is a reminder that we're not designed to stand still. And yet people who are afraid of falling, they grip, right? So some of you may have felt the swaying and maybe tried to stop the swaying, tensing up in your ankles. That actually leads to falling down also. That's by the balance. So close your eyes again. And this time what I'd like you to do is imagine that there's like a plumb line going right through the center of your body. So it starts in the middle of your head and drops down in between your feet. And you can even arbitrarily choose. So now go ahead, shift to one leg and balance. Just feel it. Do it again and notice, how do you do that? How do you shift your weight? Where does it go? And then come back. And now shift your weight to the other leg. Is it different? Is it easier or more difficult? Is it the same? Right? So they're not working. So now just pay attention and notice when you're lying down. Remember you have this plumb line that you can pay attention to. Just notice right now, can you sense your shape? Is there any part of you that feels a little crooked? Or do you feel perfectly symmetrical? You're going to tilt your pelvis a little bit so that your tailbone comes up and your lumbar spine, that's your lower back area, comes a little bit closer to the floor. So you're just kind of doing a little bit of a curl and returning. Just try that movement a couple times. Just feel that movement. You're tilting your pelvis and returning. Try to find some way to interfere with the way you go to your good side. Maybe tense up in your buttocks or hold your breath, or even try to duplicate what you were feeling on the other side. Just go to your good side several times, making it hard. Challenge your good side. I know it sounds crazy, but just try it. Maybe hold in your ribs or curl your toes. Just do something to make it hard. Great. And now pause a second. And now go over to your not so good side and feel what happened. Did it change? Try going back and forth. And then let the whole thing go again. Take another rest. You can slide your legs down. So we take the rest in order to allow the whole nervous system to process the information. For those of you who have ever done yoga, after you do a series of yoga asanas, postures, they ask you to lie down and rest. That's not because you're tired. The idea is that you're taking in the information that your body learned from those postures. This is the same thing, just kind of smaller and more often. So now bend your legs again. And now think for a moment, if you were to do the exact same movement that you've been doing, going from one side to the other side, but you were only allowed to use one leg, which leg would it be? So just think about it. Don't give up. Keep going. Great. And now have both feet flat on the floor. And just to see what's it like now. So pick your pelvis up and move it over to one side, put it down. Pick your pelvis up, move it to the other side, put it down. Has the quality of the movement changed in any way? Or your range of motion? Or the shape of your spine? Anything new in your experience? And then let that go. Slide your legs down. Still going down. You want to go towards your head and away from your head. So now here you go. Away from your head and then towards your head. Don't drop the pelvis. There you go. That's it. Feel your head moving? So your whole spine is lifted. And just notice, what's your contact with the floor like now? What's your breath like? Where are your thoughts? What's your state of being right now? You know, you have several things going on in yourself at every single moment. At every single moment, you are thinking, you are sensing, you have an emotional life, and there's movement going on, all for and in your own perception, right? Here's an important sentence. Feldenkrais said, we move according to our perceived self-image. So I have an idea of how I am, and so I move through life like that. But then I have an opportunity to change my perception. And what he called perceived self-image is what now in neurology they call the brain map, right? Any other things that people experienced? Did your balance change?
The range of motion changed a lot.
Your range of motion. And we weren't even looking at range of motion specifically. Where did your range of motion change?
It's just all the way back in general.
So in other words, going from side to side, did anybody feel a change in how their pelvis moved from side to side? Can you sort of think about how having that ability, that freedom, that lightness, that flexibility might impact on your movements? Those of you especially who do movement a lot. Any thoughts on that?
It can help you with your posture and also help with when you're doing exercises.
Right. So what you were doing, you were shifting your center of gravity, right, from side to side. I know that you've talked about center of gravity in this class. And if you don't have a connection and flexibility there, you're not going to be able to be a good dancer, a good athlete, or have the freedom to be able to fall and recover. Because if you're walking from up here, right, or if you're walking from up here, then you don't have any connection to your center of gravity. Once it loosens up, then you have the possibility to recover even if you trip, right? You can actually recover more quickly because you have access to your center of gravity. So having more range of motion is useful in that way. Side or another preferred side?
Well, it was more when I was like shifting from when we were in this position, changing over, like that's when I was standing for either leg, like I felt symmetrical, but like my plumb line felt more symmetrical.
Mhm.
Who's-
So that's why we do it in so many different ways, because you might not feel it in one way, but then you realize, oh, I'm asymmetrical here. Maybe that might mean that I'm also asymmetrical up here, but I'm not able to sense it when I'm in relationship to gravity. And then as you become more sensitive, you would be able to sense it even in standing. So, come back to standing up. And just begin to sit down on the floor. Just begin the process. Just see what it's like to begin and then come back up. Try it a couple times. Just begin, don't go all the way down, but just feel how do you do it. So you're starting to break down. How do you do it? What do you do?
Put a hand down and try to brace yourself.
You put your hand down and try to brace yourself.
Or get ready.
Now, when did your hand get down? When did the hand actually
I
contact?
actually touched the ground. Probably went out to
All the way down, right, okay?
But you have it out to like catch yourself.
To catch yourself in case, all right? Any other ways? We all have different ways of getting down and getting up. And the beauty of being young and flexible is that you do have all these choices. Those choices start to go down once your knees start going, your hips start going, right? You don't feel as strong or as agile. So, did anybody go down, no hands? Can you show how you did that? Okay, so he went down into a squat, right? Okay. So now, crouch and put your hand on the floor, whichever hand you want. And now from here, can you begin a movement? Actually, put both hands on the floor, that's fine. Can you begin a movement of turning so that one knee comes towards the floor and then returns? Just try that. And just notice what's happening with the rest of yourself. First of all, is that easy or difficult? Try it several times. Just going there, putting your hands to the outside of your thigh and coming back. Great. Switch your legs. Try going the other way. Outside of your thigh, coming back up. Outside of your thigh, coming back up. Now you'll notice as you go to the outside of that thigh that your front foot, the sole could find the floor. Can you feel that? The sole of your foot can find the floor. Good. And switch your legs again. And now, when you go over there, let the sole of your foot find the floor and see if you can come up to the other knee. How quickly now can you just do that much, right? Rock over and come to your knee and come back up. Great. And switch your knees. And try to the other side. Back to your cross-leg position. And we're just going to add one small thing. So you're going to rock to one side, you're going to come to your knee, I'm doing it in slow motion, and then you're going to tuck the back toes behind the other toes. And then come back down. Just try it. Just tuck that back toe. Don't pick the knee up yet. Don't pick the knee up yet. You're just moving it over a little bit. Don't pick the knee up. The head being the last thing to come up. So now you've got the whole picture. So what would it be like now to crouch, touch, twirl, come down, and twirl all the way back up again? Try it. In other words, sit down and get back up. And see how quickly and elegantly you can do it now. Doing the spiral. So continuing with the spiral. That's not to say, okay, so the spiral just got completely lost. Oh, that was great. All right, let's do it in slow motion. Come on up. So, crouch, touch the floor. Tuck one knee in, and you come, see cross-legged. You have one leg in front, one leg behind. You turn towards the behind leg, tuck your toe, and come back up. Deep side, and come up. If you want to go the other way, that's a more advanced lesson.
Because I think everybody had their own way of going about sitting down before. Like I went into a plank position before, and now everybody's doing like the same movement.
Okay. Instead of touching the floor, you just pretend you're touching the floor, and you come down, and then you get back up again. Try it. See what it feels like. See if you can get up and get down, be able to roll and come up. Right? You don't have to do it quickly. It's something to aspire to, right? And that was one of the other things that Feldenkrais often did, was he added a challenge at the end of a lesson, something that just seemed physically crazy, so that you could see like, wow, there's more possibilities. Now, since this is a balance class, and most of you are thinking about either grandparents or older people that might need help with it, many of them can't do what we just did. I mean, we do work all the way from being horizontal, from being flat on the back, how to roll over and come up to sitting, how to come from sitting to kneeling, how to crawl over to the chair, and how to get yourself up on the chair. I work with several people who actually either have MS or Parkinson's or something like that, and they can't walk at all, and yet they want to be able to have as much independence as they can. So sometimes they don't even have the use of their legs, and they have to haul themselves up in different ways. So we're always looking for the most ergonomic way. Just teaching them to rock back and forth so they can feel their sit bones, right? And then letting them feel the support of the chair, right? And then letting them feel what it's like to get down to the ground. The easier it is to get down to the ground, the less fear you're going to have. So another thing that people do when they get older is they have difficulty getting out of the chair. And one of the reasons is, everybody just get up out of the chair right now. What did you use? The quads. So in order to get up, when you don't have the strength in your quads, what happens with a lot of older people is that they use their arms to try to shove themselves up. And once again, they're using the 18 pounds of the head and the rest of the torso and trying to use whatever strength they have to pick themselves up. And instead, they could just use ergonomics. Come forward in your chair so that you're away from the back, as close to the edge as you can get without feeling like you're going to tip over. Okay? Put your feet flat on the floor. And as you continue doing this movement, could you think about keeping yourself straight like that, your head hitting down, and just don't round your back, and just let your sit bones come up a little off the chair and come back up, down again. Just a little bit. Kind of like a rocking chair motion. Relax your arms. Arms off the chair, pull your hair up towards the ceiling.